Critical warning to American markets. That's why you're seeing a crypto crash. Is Jerome Powell is not lowering rates. We're going to watch a video where it breaks down where he's saying, hey, inflation's coming down. But remember, guys, these high rates are destroying the middle class. So we have to buckle up and prepare for a different type of economy. They ask him in this video, which we're going to watch a 3-minute video, are you going to lower rates in September? They start to giggle. I still think in September they're going to lower rates. But remember, they told us they were going to lower rates 3 to 4 times, I believe. And that was baked into the markets. That's why we saw favorable market returns at the beginning of the year. Now we're seeing the Bitcoin collapse, which is very, very favorable for crypto investors. So you got to do the opposite of the 99%. Everybody's panicking right now as we're accumulating. When we see these drops, we're getting in. And when we see the parabolic moves, we're getting out, bringing it down the risk pyramid and securing that wealth for our families. So we're going to break down this video today. On the back end of every video, I share with you exactly what I'm doing repetitively until we get to that point and we learn new things, and we'll bring back that information. Okay, so let's dive right into this. So we're going to watch a 3-minute video. This was 1 day ago. Jerome Powell says Feds has made quite a bit of progress on inflation. Okay, so they're talking about favorable job markets. Now, we have to understand before we listen to this, remember, every dollar in the system is debt. So he's walking this balancing tightrope right now. The Fed, since 1913, the dollar's collapsed 97 to 99%. The only way they can get this economy going again is to monetize debt. Okay, so right now they're putting a hold on debt because interest rates are high. Not putting a hold on debt. People are moving to the private equity markets. That's why BlackRock is making the move to private equity. That's why they bought that company. That's why they're moving to Bitcoin as a flight to quality. So when you see these dips and you see these unfavorable markets, it might be a good opportunity to take a risk and put some of your Figazi, fake money, fiat money, into these risk on, risk off assets that 80% of the supply has not moved. And every time the dollar starts to make moves, people run over to it as a flight to quality. So not financial advice, but that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to stack as much Bitcoin as I can right now, and I'll be making my moves on the back end. So let's listen to what he says. So this is really important as an investor to understand how rates affect the market. You know, stop focusing on just the trying to get rich quick, but you have to understand the macro microeconomics of the system.
Well, you have also been on a journey and have been on hold since last July. Have not cut rates like the ECB in June. Why not? What are you waiting for?
So let me say that sitting here last year,
that's important to understand. Remember the dollar milkshake theory? So every other country has to make different moves than we do because we control the monetary supply. We're the only country that can just print money out of thin air. So we have that safety net.
There was a lot we didn't know, and we didn't know that we were just about to embark on a period of 7 months of much lower inflation readings. We didn't realize that the second half of last year was going to be an extraordinary year from a growth standpoint and also from the standpoint of the labor market. So things actually worked out in the second half of last year in a remarkable way. Then, as you know, in the first quarter of this year, we continue to have solid growth in the first half, actually, solid growth, and a labor market that's still strong, although we've seen a continued rebalancing in the labor market. And inflation after pausing in the
remember, the labor markets are strong because everybody's coming back from post-pandemic stress, right? Everybody lost their jobs. Labor markets are looking favorable because people are flooding back into those jobs, but now it's starting to balance out and become normal. That's what you need to pay attention to.
First quarter now shows signs of resuming its disinflationary trend. So it's a little bit different journey. So where that leaves us is we've made quite a bit of progress in bringing inflation back down toward target. While the labor market has remained strong and growth has continued, we want that process to continue. I think the last reading and the one before it too.
So something super important. That's what they're paying attention to with the labor markets being strong, because usually there's an inverse effect. So when they keep rates high and bring inflation down, it really affects the job market. So now he's saying that's starting to balance because we're post-pandemic job market, people flooding back into the job market, but now it's starting to become normal. So now from this point on, we'll see, does the disinflationary trend start to really affect the middle class with credit being so high and us not being able to borrow and every dollar in the system is someone else's debt? Then that's where we're going to start to see the moves on the back end.
And inflation, the one before it to a lesser extent, do suggest that we are getting back on a disinflationary path. We want to be more confident that inflation is moving sustainably down toward 2% before we start the process of reducing how tight our policy is, of loosening policy. That's what we've said, and what we'd like to see is more data like what we've been seeing recently. We'd also like to see the labor market remain strong. We've said that if we saw the labor market unexpectedly weakening, is also something that could call for a reaction.
How much more confident do you want to be? The PCE number.
He just gave you the hint. You need to pay attention to the job market. So they're keeping them high right now, trying to balance this out. But if they start to see the job markets falter, he said now they're kind of at an even playing field. If they start to falter, you'll see rates go down, which is going to be very favorable for our crypto portfolios and stocks and housing.
2.6. That wasn't too bad that we got last week.
That's right. So we're actually on a 12-month basis. We're actually at 2.6, both headline and core for inflation, and that represents really significant progress. I think we peaked at 5.4% in core, and the same thing has happened in headline. We've gone from 7.1 to 2.6. So yes, we've made a lot of progress. We just want to understand that the levels that we're seeing are a true reading on what is actually happening with underlying inflation. And as we were saying at the last part of last year, people were saying, you need to declare victory, this is over. And then we had a quarter of inflation, which was well above 3%. So we want to be more confident. And frankly, because the US economy is strong and the labor market is strong, we have the ability to take our time and get this right. And that's what we're planning to do.
So September?
I'm not going to be landing on any specific dates here today. Let me also say that we're well aware that if we go too soon, that we could undo the good work we've done in bringing down inflation. And if we go too late, we could unnecessarily undermine the recession, the recovery, and the expansion. And so we're aware that we have two-sided risks now, more so than we did a year ago. That's a big change. I'd say risks are coming much more into balance.
Okay, so that's what I want you guys to hear. So now they're starting to get to this kind of like even playing field, right? So now September, I'm almost positive they're going to do it in September. I wanted to cover this because this was flying around my Twitter. People were messaging me around this as well. There was some news that came out from this company here. It said $5 trillion investment, giant BlackRock partners with Stellar. I couldn't find any news other than their article here. And so a lot of people were asking me about this. Integration Stellar into Aladdin. I couldn't find anything around it, but Aladdin is connected to Coinbase, right? So if anybody has any information on that'd be awesome. Tokenizing of assets. But there was some old news back in the day around Stellar and BlackRock teaming up. But we do know that the CFTC on their commodity futures trading commission. You have BlackRock on there. You have HSBC. We have Stellar Foundation. We have Goldman Sachs. We have Bloomberg. And so that's why I'm a big investor in XLM. That's why I'm a big investor in XRP. All these companies that are connected and deep in the system. You got Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan. You know, why would they have these people on the commodities future trading commission if they weren't going to be here? Like, really think about that. That's okay. So there's some other news out there. This is just stuff that I was trying to dive into. I couldn't find any validity on the news, but built on Stellar, BlackRock, Franklin. This may be the news from June 17th. Built on Stellar, BlackRock, Franklin Templeton fuel tokenization treasury boom. So that could be the news that they're talking about. Franklin Templeton enables fund purchases with stable coins, warrants offshore tokenization competition. So that's what I got for that. I was trying to find something tangible instead of reporting on it. But yeah, it's great news. There's a lot of cool things going on. So again, just a beautiful time. Happy 4th of July, Independence Day, kind of ironic what we're going through in America, but independence is here. It's within your heart. I got my shirt here, Christ Jesus, Yeshua. Very, very important to understand that the foundation to me is God and Jesus Christ. And I say that boldly on my channels because that's my principles. That's what I stand on. My foundation is God, following Christ Jesus, Yeshua, the principles, teaching my family that, my kids that, and really teaching them to be sovereign individuals within themselves, right? So what I do personally is I use these high risk, high return capital markets by studying this methodically for the last, 7 years. I use cryptocurrency as a high speculative, high return. There's not a lot of utility right now. So it's going to be high risk, high return. So when Bitcoin drops, when everybody's panicking, like today, and yesterday, we're accumulating more. When it goes up, I sell. That's simple. When everybody comes flooding in 2025, I'll be selling from the top. I'll be selling on the way up to the top, not trying to catch the top because you won't catch it. You're not going to beat Wall Street. I come sliding down the back end. I secure my house money in insurance. That's what I do. I put it in there for protection of my principal, for my family in the future. I like to be able to leverage against my assets tax-free. Okay, that's a very powerful way where wealthy people access cash tax-free is by borrowing against their tax loans are tax-free. And number three is I like to compound my money. So every 10 years, it's every 7 years at 10%, money compounds. I'll be investing more into my companies, into innovation, technology, and attention to create cash flow 24 hours a day, taking that cash flow back into the system and repeating the process. And then we're going into real estate. I'm using Bitcoin as my goal. I probably won't sell my Bitcoin. I'll probably hold it long term and then leverage that as well to buy properties. So that's my plan. Hopefully, you have a plan in place. I think it's very important to get out of that vertical strategy, going to school, getting a job, getting a 401k, and hoping that the market is favorable and you retire. Hope is not a strategy. Imagine working 40 years of your life and you from the bottom up strategy and all the work you did from the bottom up. When you go to retire, the markets collapse. That doesn't sound favorable to me. That's why I go horizontal. Okay. So if you're interested in understanding some retirement strategies, if you go down below, fill out a needs assessment, my proper team member will reach out to you. It's about what you need, not what we do, what you need based on your current needs right now. But you got to create a plan, guys. Click the link in my bio. You can fill out a needs assessment and my proper team member reach out to you. So I love you guys. I appreciate you. Happy 4th of July, Independence Day. As we always say, Warriors, rise, get your shit together. Let's go.